everyone to our shareholder update. This is a pre-recorded video where we have taken questions that we've collected over the past week, and we will have our president, Dawn Weatherby, and our CEO, Greg Pandura, answer these questions, as well as we will be presenting a presentation that Dawn has prepared that will also answer a lot of these questions that many of you have had.
Okay, thank you, Kara. I would like to welcome everyone to the Regenx update. The format, as you said, will start off with a brief historical overview by Dawn, and followed by question and answer. I believe the presentation will sort of show a history of the diesel catalytic converter journey that we've been on, and Dawn's presentation may shed some light on our historic timelines and pave the way for timelines that may better reflect our growth moving forward. I'm truly excited to be part of this incredible team, from the Director of R&D, Fabrizio Mea, who oversees our Vancouver and Tennessee labs, to the entire Tennessee team, led by Rick Purdy, President of U.S. Operations. The Tennessee team has been involved in every aspect of our journey, from design to construction, to repairs, to maintenance, and of course, plant operations. We've accomplished so much in the last 3.5 years. It's truly amazing. At times, I've been overly zealous in suggesting overly aggressive expectations in regards to achieving some of our timelines, but every timeline was based on the current information available at that time. The introduction and rollout of any new technology has many unexpected issues along the way, and ours was no exception. But very few technology companies are able to successfully navigate the road from lab to pilot plant, construction of a pilot plant, to successfully entering the commercial production phase. And for that, I would like to acknowledge everyone who has been part of this journey. With that, Dawn, if you could begin.
Thank you, Greg. Like Greg said, this will be a little bit of a historical journey, but it will focus primarily on the last 9 months and what we've been accomplishing and challenges that we've faced during this period.
We launched our investigation into the catalytic converter opportunity at the beginning of 2020 with the commencement of a laboratory research project. Initially, we were working in conjunction with environmental, but came to the realization that for this project to succeed, we needed to change the direction of our research activity. With the information provided from the laboratory research, we designed and constructed a 25 kilogram pilot plant in Vancouver. This construction process was being completed during the global supply chain challenges and provided both positive and negative experiences with purchasing items from China. At the end of 2021, the pilot plant was relocated to Tennessee to allow for better access to feedstock supply. To facilitate the next step in our development, Rick Purdy joined the company full-time as president of U.S. operations, and he and his family relocated to Tennessee from Canada. The pilot plant relocation process encountered issues in obtaining licenses and permits, as this is a one-of-a-kind technology and process. Challenges that arose were tied to needing regulatory officials to understand what and how we were doing. This lack of understanding created delays due to uncertainty of what categories and regulations applied. The work done with the pilot plant with regards to government regulations provided invaluable information on how and where we constructed the Module 1 facility. The pilot plant confirmed that our new chemical process we designed was going to work and was scalable. The pilot plant provided the required information for us to confirm the hydrometallurgical process we were using works and the appropriateness of the materials used in construction of the plant, and that our method of solid-liquid separation was successful. The pilot plant was not able to provide information related to the material flow at much larger quantities of feedstock. In 2022, we began the design work for the commercial facility by engaging a highly respected engineering consulting group. Early in this process, the decision was made to build the commercial facility in modules for both financial and operational reasons. The basic layout of our process is that we receive the feedstock from Davis Recycling that has been ground into a fine powder. This powder is loaded into a glass-lined reactor and mixed with our primary chemistry and heated to a high temperature. After the leach process, the material is pumped into a centrifuge to separate the waste solids from the precious metal-bearing liquid. The liquid is then treated utilizing a Merrill-Crowe process to drop the precious metals from the solution, which is captured in filters as a dirty concentrate, black powder. The black powder is sent to a refiner, which generates the revenue stream for the company. Module 1 was constructed and commissioned based on the engineering design and utilizing parts and components recommended by third parties. All the items that we could test in the pilot plant have worked as expected. Issues that have been encountered have been related to components that we could either not replicate in the pilot plant or had to adjust for safety concerns. Other modifications have been made to increase the operational efficiency of the plant. Our primary goal during the commissioning phase was to ensure that the system operated as designed in a safe manner and that the proper operating procedures and training was completed. During this stage, we performed some system modifications to improve the safety, like dramatically reducing the excessive movement of transfer piping to avoid the potential for leaks or the breaking of pipes. The first design issue occurred during the commissioning stage and was related to the heating system initially installed. The recommended system wasn't powerful enough to heat the system in a timely manner. To combat this, we installed additional heating capacity and then added insulation to further enhance the effectiveness of the system. This is why the primary reactor tanks that were initially blue are now white. The initially designed loading system was simple but inefficient and had a lack of ability to contain losses from dust management. There were also safety concerns around the manual loading requirements. An automated bulk loading system was procured as a solution to this issue. The base model delivered needed to be modified to work effectively with our feedstock. Then the system required testing to understand the optimal speeds for which it needed to be operated at. Bulk loading is an item that can only be tested when you're at scale. Although pneumatic pumps were adequate to transfer material to the centrifuge in the pilot plant, when the volumes increased in Module 1, issues were created in the effectiveness of the solid-liquid separation, as the flow of material was inconsistent. The pneumatic pumps in this application were also required a high level of maintenance to remain reliable. Changing to a peristaltic-style pump has rectified these issues. We have had some non-design issues that created delays, relating to some of the pumping failures and a manufacturing defect in the stirring mechanism of the main reactor. This defect required the entire mechanism to be replaced, which had to be manufactured by the factory located in Germany. Whenever an issue presents itself, it causes delays due to having to investigate the root cause of the issue, research a solution, arrange for procurement of the solution, and to test the solution to confirm that this will solve the root cause of the issue. Our partner, Davis Recycling, has also been active in preparing for growth. Ben Davis recently posted a link showing the expansion of his processing facility. And the multinational company, BASF, in a presentation they made in Vienna to the IPMI in November of 2023, highlighted Regenx as a solution to the diesel recycling market. There were other companies included in their presentation, but all those companies are still at lab scale, while we are accepting product from the marketplace. During this development curve, we have been producing PGM-rich black powder. This has been in small quantities so far, as we've been deliberately using very low-grade feedstock to minimize the cost associated with operational issues.
These are questions that were submitted online. We published this on all of our social media channels, as well as we sent out a newsletter asking our shareholders and our audience what they would be interested in learning about if they had the opportunity to ask Greg and Dawn a question. So we had probably over 50 questions, and a lot of them were very similar. So we collected the questions, prepared the answers, and hopefully this will cover off everyone's. Dawn, can you provide some additional information regarding the current production levels and results at the plant?
Yes. So we are now capable of processing 2,500 pounds a day. This is the output capacity of Module 1 in an 8-hour operating day. Our next step is to expand to a 16-hour day by hiring and training more staff. Our goal is to have a second crew operational by the end of June, at which point we'll be able to produce 5,000 pounds a day. We've hit these milestones, but we're not running at these levels every day, because as we hit new milestones, we have to wait for the analysis of the results to ensure that we are getting our planned 95% recovery rate. The plan is currently planned to operate Monday to Friday and expected to have a 80% mechanical availability, which includes time for preventative maintenance.
There have been various questions regarding the quality of feedstock. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So the first thing to understand about quality, or grade as we more commonly refer to it, is that almost every make and model of vehicle has a different catalytic converter inside. And every different catalytic converter has a different amount of precious metals in the construction of it. For us, we generally think of grades in some broad categories. High grade, which has about 1,200 ppms of platinum and palladium and above. Mid grade, which is about 500 to 1,200 ppm. Low grade, that's below 500, and the ultra low grade, that's below 200 ppms. A ppm is a parts per million, which equates to 1 gram. 1 ppm is 1 gram per metric ton. The majority of our feedstock will fall into the low to mid grades, as generally the high is not readily available and has higher acquisition costs. The amount of black powder we produce is dependent on the grade of feedstock we are processing. Lower grades naturally produce smaller amounts of black powder, and we generally store the black powder until we have a large enough amount to reduce the fixed cost associated with refining process. When we send it to the refiner, we are paid at a spot market price.
Next question. Can you provide some information on plant economics?
I'm a little limited on what and how I can talk about financial performance, but I can give you some general information. Plant profitability is primarily dependent on two factors: the production rate and the cost of feedstock. Based on the current information we have in the market, we are predicting to be cash flow positive at the 5,000 pounds per day operating rate when we operate on a Monday to Friday schedule. Currently, we're not getting the best material or pricing during our startup, as we need to prove to the industry we can produce the results we're advertising. And some better quality material is being temporarily kept on the sidelines due to the rapid decline in palladium prices we've seen in the last year. Our pricing will improve as we get a bigger presence in the market and with the assistance of Davis Recycling. Pricing of feedstock is highly competitive and kept close to the chest in this industry.
Let me just add a little color to what Don is saying there. Any comments on margins, profits, EBITDA, our forward-looking statements, and we have to be cautious until we have revenue and cost performance criteria in place based on our production, our commercial production scenario. Regulatory authorities look very closely at forward-looking statements. So we must adhere to these moving forward. Unlike mining projects where you have independent third-party reporting, such as the NI 43-101 reporting showing your deposits of proven, inferred, and indicated reserves, in manufacturing/technology, we don't. And we have standards there such as NI 51-102, which have to do primarily with performance and cost. So we have to be cognizant of that. You need a history of revenue generation. We are approaching the revenue generation phase of our development and need to be careful about how we communicate this until we're able to give guidance what we can achieve on a consistent basis with module 1, and it's basically its performance. We will update obviously as we continue towards full production and advise accordingly. But up until then, we have to be somewhat careful of what we talk about to the marketplace.
Okay, great. Thank you, Greg. Next question. Does platinum and palladium spot prices directly affect profitability, and what is the future outlook on them?
We have a sort of a natural hedge since we buy at lower prices when the prices go down, and higher prices when the prices go up. So that gives us our natural hedge. We will experience higher margins with higher priced commodities, but we're comfortable at the lower rates as well. Because of geopolitical problems in Russia, South Africa, and due to the increased demand which is going to come about for precious metals, this cycle is going to be on an upside, we believe, relatively soon. So commodities rise up, they rise down. I mean, it's the life of commodities. But we feel there's going to be a significant upturn in the price side of commodities as we move forward.
Right. I'm just going to take this moment to remind people that these are all questions that have come in from investors or our audience. And the next question that we have is, what percentage of proceeds goes to Davis Recycling?
Once module 1 is operating as per expectations, according to our agreement, they will get 45% of the profits and are also responsible for 45% of the expenses. Our expenses occurred to date for module 1 will get reimbursed first, and after we get our reimbursed costs back on module 1 expenditures, the 55% scenario will fall into place.
Do we plan on doing a share consolidation at this time?
No, not at this time. In the future, we may, but only if it's a significant business opportunity to do so. And that usually has to do with a company wanting to uplist on a more senior exchange, which is our intention as well. And at that particular time, that would be considered, and it would be very beneficial to our shareholders.
What is the status of Iron Bull and the Keegan iron ore concessions?
Well, as we all know, the Iron Bull proposal was not concluded some time ago, primarily because of their inability to meet the requirements of a new public market listing at that time, and due to the inability to raise the necessary funds to do so, the project did not go forward. Other alternatives have been considered and evaluated since then and are ongoing. The copper project in Namibia in Africa is being looked at, but it is not at the definitive stage, so there's not much to report there. And Regenx as a company has an investment interest in this project. We've been looking for alternatives for quite some time on the Keegan iron ore concessions. We are presently exploring another opportunity, but it also is not at a definitive stage yet. Once definitive agreements are reached in either projects that I'm talking about, we will obviously disclose those in the terms of the proposed transactions to the public at that time.
What are the plans to finance modules 2 to 4?
Our short-term plan is to control our growth by doubling our capacity. we will begin the procurement process for Module 2 shortly after Module 1's various performance criteria have been properly evaluated. Once we have personnel hired and trained, we will begin the procurement process for Modules 3 to 4. Funding has been discussed with various parties, and traditional debt type financing will be available once we reach these milestones and can move forward accordingly.
Do we plan on releasing production statistics in quarterly or annual reports?
Well, once we have consistent financial information available, we will begin giving guidance on both our quarterlies and annual financial reporting, showing future growth and financial expectations. The key there is once we are able to do so, we will obviously do that on a consistent basis.
What is our cash position, and are we talking to lenders?
We are looking for operating capital solutions at the present time. We have a 90 to 120-day window waiting for payments from the refiners once we send our concentrate to them. This puts a cash pressure on us, obviously, until we have traditional institutional operating lines in place. But this amount on the operating line is determined by revenue generation. Until that time, you need operating capital for inventory, chemicals, and overall operations. We've been looking at various alternatives to bridge this time span for but our options at this particular time are limited. There's equity financing, debt financing at terms that are not favorable to our shareholders, really predatory loan structures, if you want to call it that are highly dilutive to say the least, or rights offerings. These are the three avenues available until we get into a positive cash flow scenario. We are evaluating all alternatives that are available to us at the present time, and we'll be determining which path we take at that particular time.
Great, thanks, Greg. So we have two questions left. The second question to last is, what are management's thoughts on a few individuals who are aggressively selling shares?
This is a difficult question to answer, not knowing where the selling is coming from. It could be personal reasons such as financial, it could be a divorce, estate planning, margin calls, or unhappiness with the company and management. And this could come from perception of poor execution, unmet timelines, or lack of confidence in full production being met. So there are various reasons for that. But if the case is on the perception or unsure of the company meeting full production, if this is the case, then once Module 1 has reached the throughput and efficiencies that are expected, market acceptance is going to acknowledge this accomplishment, and share price will be recognized and react accordingly. So it's all about really performance, getting there, and basically the market will take care of itself.
We're going to move on to the last question now. What is management's plans to restore credibility to shareholders as well as expand awareness to the market in general?
I've sort of touched on this already. Our plan is to show by execution and performance. We're so very, very close to being there. Module 1's performance is the key, and showing the revenue and costs associated in full production. that's the key, and we're working very, very carefully and very hard to achieve that. In regards to the other part of the question, our plan is to expand our market awareness. Our primary goal is in the U.S. marketplace. We've barely penetrated that marketplace. Having our operational plant in Tennessee makes that market really attractive to us. Um, we've been talking to some companies that are, well, I'll call them tier one companies who are very uh, at the top of their game of achieving this for us in the U.S. marketplace. Our objective with them is to uplist to a senior exchange. That's our goal. And this increase in market awareness is really the initial step for this whole process to begin. So our generation of revenue, which is, as we say, we've started, is the milestone or the key to begin this, and we're about to begin this in very short order.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Greg. And thank you to those of you who took the time to submit the questions. It was of great use to sort of see what our audience and our shareholders were interested in, and I hope we did a good job of answering those questions. This is something that we may continue on and do maybe in the future. So if you like this, please let us know by sending us a note, or you can put thumbs up in the video down below. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Kara. I'd just like to end up just saying thank everyone for the questions. Hopefully this session will bring further clarity to our commercialization path. We have learned from the past and plan to present future milestones in a more conservative rather than opportunistic timeline. We'll be having ongoing updates as we reach these additional milestones and look forward to sharing these with our shareholders and interested parties in the future. Again, thank you for your participation.